The 2021 NFL Draft is in about 3 months, and Chris Lovitt and I recorded our first mock draft of the year. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more NFL videos.
Oh yeah, and then at number 6 with the Eagles, do you think they're gonna stock up on quarterback, or you think they're gonna just stick with Wentz and Hurts and see what they're gonna do from there?
Yeah, so I think by sacking Doug Peterson, they've basically said they're sticking with Carson Wentz because sacking the coach is a lot easier than sacking the quarterback. So I think they'll give Wentz at least one more year with a new coach, new coaching system. And I've got Philadelphia taking the linebacker that you projected to go to Atlanta. I've got them taking Micah Parsons. As far as a blitzing linebacker and a run defender goes, I think he might be one of the best that I've ever seen. And Philadelphia were terrible covering running backs and stopping quarterback run. So I think getting a really versatile linebacker in there is just exactly what Philadelphia needs.
For me, with the Eagles are gonna, because obviously Micah Parsons is already off the board for me, so I think they're gonna give Carson Wentz or Jalen Hurts, whoever's gonna be their quarterback going forward, a true number one receiver, because they were very weak at that position, I think, last year. So they're going to go with Jamar Chase of LSU. I mean, he obviously set out the 2020 season as well, but in 2019, he was pretty much unguardable with Joe Burrow as his quarterback. I mean, he had 20 touchdowns and just dominated that year, and obviously won the college championship as well. So yeah, they're going to go wide receiver for me. And then next, we have the Lions, and obviously now with the Matthew Stafford news, they're gonna need to get a quarterback, right?
Yeah, with Zack Wilson already off the board, I've got them taking Justin Fields. Again, before the college season started this year, Fields and Lawrence were pretty much neck and neck. Fields might have fallen slightly in some people's estimations, but he is exactly what you would want from a young quarterback. He's dual threat. He's very athletic. He can make all the throws. And yeah, again, another coach who needs a quarterback to start building the roster with. And yeah, Fields is pretty much perfect for that as well.
Yeah, I agree with you there on that pick, because for me, I had Justin Fields as my second highest quarterback. And I think the Lions are gonna draft him. Clearly need a new franchise guy, and he's a playmaker, and his great athleticism and throwing ability, and obviously he shined in the playoffs against Clemson. So he's definitely a guy I think the Lions will be very happy with. And then yeah, going forward to the number 8 pick and the Panthers, like their quarterback situation is a bit up in the air as well, of course. Do you have them sticking with Teddy Bridgewater, or you think they're gonna shore up on that position as well?
Yeah, with the 8th pick, I've got Carolina taking a quarterback. I've got them taking Trey Lance from North Dakota State. He's a dual threat quarterback. He's extremely athletic. There's a definite kind of Patrick Mahomes about him. He's got an extremely strong arm, and for an offensive coordinator like Joe Brady, I mean, this is like the perfect pairing. He's so creative. He'll be able to use him in ways that other coordinators might not. He did only play one game this year, and he's typically played against lesser opposition than some of these other quarterbacks, but he's definitely the most intriguing prospect. And yeah, this could be a massive hit if he turns out to be a great player for them.
Yeah, I also have the Panthers taking a quarterback, but obviously on my draft board, Zack Wilson is still available, so I think they're gonna pick him. And like you mentioned before, he has had almost like a breakthrough season this year. Like he's blown right by his career highs, and he had almost 3,000 yards and 27 touchdown passes. So I think, like you mentioned before, with Joe Brady as their offensive coordinator, he's going to have a very good time like coaching this young quarterback. And yeah, it's going to be great to see what happens with the Panthers in the future. But yeah, I have them taking Zack Wilson. And with that, we're going to go over to the 9th pick in the draft with the Broncos. What do you have there?
I think this is going to be a typical pick of circumstance, so to speak. Denver definitely need to get better in the secondary. We saw how great their secondary was that carried them to that Super Bowl. And in a division where you've got to play Patrick Mahomes twice a year, you really do need top corners. So I've got them taking Caleb Farley. He also opted out of the 2020 season, but you need a corner with top speed who's going to be able to cover, your Tyreek Hills, and Farley at 6'2", he can run a 4.3 40. I think he's, the perfect weapon to have to counter Mahomes and potentially slow down that Chiefs offense.
Yeah, the Broncos definitely need to get better on defense. Obviously, the quarterback situation is also still up in the air, but with all the top guys basically gone, I think they're going to take a linebacker instead of a corner. I think they're going to take Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah from Notre Dame, because he was just special this year. Like he won so many awards. Like he was first team All-American, and yeah, he just dominated in all levels. And he's an interesting guy. He can play linebacker. He's a free down defender, and he can also move into the box as kind of a safety, almost in sub packages. He's a very capable guy to shore up that defense. So yeah, let's if you move over to the 10th pick, obviously we have the Dallas Cowboys making that selection. And yeah, what do you have there?
I think this is definitely going to be a pick used on defense. There's still some very attractive offensive players there, like Jalen Waddle, that may tempt Jerry and Stephen Jones. But we saw how bad the Dallas defense was this year. They need to get better pretty much everywhere across that defense. And I think the best defensive player still available, I've got them taking Patrick Surtain, the corner from Alabama. The Cowboys just need, day one starters who can come in and immediately make them better. And I think that's what Surtain does. He's obviously comes from Alabama, very well coached. And yeah, I think he can make a difference for them right away.
Yeah, I agree with you on that pick. I also have Patrick Surtain the second, going to the Cowboys and reunite with his old teammate Trevon Diggs there to give them a great tandem at cornerback. And obviously he comes from a great NFL lineage. His dad played in the league for Miami and Kansas City. He's a great lengthy corner with great discipline. The only issue is kind of his speed, but he definitely should make the Cowboys defense much better going forward. And yeah, now we kind of have our top 10 picks. But obviously with you being a Colts fan and with me being a 49ers fan, I think we should kind of see what our teams might do in this year's draft. So I'm going to start out with the 49ers. They have the 12th pick. And I think it's kind of interesting to see if they're going to trade for a quarterback. Then I think they're going to take Caleb Farley, who you have going further, like earlier in the draft. But if they're not getting any quarterback before the draft, I think they're going to go with Trey Lance from North Dakota State. And like you mentioned before, he has a very high upside, but he's kind of still, you need to develop him further. But he is an elite athlete, and yeah, kind of a dual threat quarterback, kind of what you need nowadays. Yeah. So I think we're gonna go with a quarterback or a corner here.
Yeah, and I think like saying if you pair Trey Lance with Joe Brady, good things are going to happen. The same thing will happen with Kyle Shanahan. Those great offensive minds who will be able to get the most out of top players. I agree with you. I don't think Jimmy G is going to be the starter there for week one. Whether that comes in a kind of trade or free agency type deal, whether it's Stafford or if some way they can lure Deshaun Watson maybe. But I probably don't think that's going to happen. So I would probably have them taking, with Trey Lance already off my board, maybe Mac Jones from Alabama again. I mean, he had an excellent season this year. Again, there seems to have been so many players who just had massive breakout years this year. He was fantastic. And yeah, I think he's a quarterback with a fair amount of upside that, someone like Shanahan can really, mold and develop. The only issue is he's, probably not a win right now quarterback. He's probably a bit more of a project, and I'm not sure if the 49ers are maybe thinking that, but yeah, I think that would be quite a good pairing.
And then we go to your Colts, the pick at the 20th position. What do you think they're going to do?
most likely thing, I think we will trade our first round pick to the Lions for Matt Stafford. That seems to be the way things are trending at the moment. You know, if you believe what you hear from insiders, the Colts are Stafford's preferred landing spot. And I mean, as a Colts fan, I'll be more than happy with that. You know, a proven NFL top quarterback who maybe hasn't had the support that the Colts can give him. But thinking just from a draft perspective, if no quarterback is acquired in free agency, then I think the Colts do have to go quarterback as well. And obviously, with most of the top quarterbacks off the board already, I think it would make sense to maybe go for someone like a Kyle Trask, who would probably be the best quarterback available. But then I think you get into the same problem that the 49ers would have, where Colts are kind of looking to win now. Is it a good idea to bring in a quarterback who's a bit of a project? But the Colts definitely do need to find a quarterback in some way, whether it's through free agency or through the draft.
Yeah, it's massive for them to find the right guy at quarterback right now, because that Colts roster is stacked, and obviously you have so much cap room as well. So the Super Bowl window is definitely now, when you have most of the young guys still like kind of a cheap contract. The only guy you really have that is expensive right now is DeForest Buckner, but everyone else you kind of still have almost in their rookie deals. So I think as well that Matt Stafford that's almost the best landing spot for Matt Stafford, and I think you're gonna definitely trade that first round pick to the Lions. But otherwise, yeah, for me, as Mac Jones is still on my draft board, I think you would then trade him and either go into the season with him or maybe bring back Jacoby Brissett and just let Mac Jones sit for a season. But yeah, I think ultimately you're going to trade that pick.